I want to ask us both, and maybe you could start us off if that's okay for you. What does warmth and intimacy mean to you?
Yeah, at this moment, because that's how the best way I can answer it. I would say that both of those needs are met for me because I've spent the last, I think, hour and a half with you and my friend Cece doing a podcast, and the natural flow and the joy that came from it, the open-heartedness and the really ability to be vulnerable met my need for warmth. And I felt really comfortable in the warmth. There were no thoughts that came in and said, oh, how do I take the words from this person? Like, that wasn't present. So I think with warmth, those thoughts aren't present. There's no doubt. It's some trust, and then the intimacy too. It is met for me with the relationship with the two of you, and just feeling tender that it's available. So at this moment, my response is, that's what they mean to me right now.
And what I'm getting from that is that in a space of comfort where you can be authentic and flow and know that you're not judged and know that you're welcome as you are, that's where warmth and intimacy kind of live. And as I was part of that recent experience with you and Christine, I have to say, I completely resonate. And something about the ease of conversation and the known friendship, I think, is really important in that way. And I'm also thinking about what we're exploring in this workshop, or what comes up for me in the context of the topic. Like, it's not always easy. Sometimes we're struggling with welcoming warmth, welcoming intimacy, intimacy being defined as different things. And I'm wondering if you could say a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I think that in the world of business or organizations, we don't use this word. We wouldn't go to I'll say I don't use this word. I don't go to an engineering firm and say, let me teach you about intimacy or hold a workshop on this. And that brings up a little bit of sadness for me, because I do want to live in a world where we are comfortable using words like warmth and intimacy in business. So at this moment, at least in the larger world, when I say intimacy, it belongs in interpersonal relationships that are very close, or maybe it belongs very personal, intrapersonal relationship. And I spoke recently on my podcast about what it means for me to be in nature. And this is where I connect with what I consider the divine to be, and how that's very intimate. The warmth portion, I aim to bring in, however slowly, might be the evaluation, into my dialogue with groups that I work with. So one of my automatic reminders is, it says dear heart. I think many of us might address people as dear heart. To me, that means that all your hearts are dear to me. Everybody's heart is dear to me. So when I say dear heart, and my reminder comes to a coaching client or someone, this is what I mean. Or I sign off with care, with gratitude. So I'm acknowledging that I'm aiming for warmth and connection. And I have had, a little question mark around that. You're calling me heart? What's that? I don't know you. So it's something that I continue to explore, but really crave in relationship, in my work and life. How about you?
How about me? first of all, I'm touched to know where the dear heart comes from. It felt very natural to me with you. I didn't have a question about it, about your receiving it at the beginning of your emails. And I enjoy knowing what it means to you. For me, what's coming up right now is that a while back when a couple of us were exploring why is it that we do this NVC work in the first place? Why did we decide to be certified? What is the purpose of this? It's a question I've been asking myself for the last couple of years. I've been certified only a couple of years back. And the reason I've been asking myself this is because there's a profound value in all of this work. And I guess I want a tangible understanding of what that value is. And for me, the value is that it's something around normalizing connection or naturalizing or renaturalizing or just sort of reminding us that actually we came from connection and quite possibly we go back to connection whenever we leave, whatever my belief might be. And I'm touched to hear you say this because one of the things that I think I would love to, I guess if I had a vision of the world as I would like to live in, I would envision a world where children grow up knowing that they are loved and love is available and they can freely give and receive love and affection and intimacy and warmth of any kind. And it's, for me, this, every time one of us talks about vulnerability and authenticity and trust, every time our friendships emerge from a place of that degree of that depth of self-knowing and that depth of care for one another, it brings me a quality of not just hope, but also in a way, a very deep connection and with something very personal or intimate to me, not to overuse that word, but something that feels very intimate and just in that understanding of things. That's a piece that's alive. And I guess what the other bit that's alive is, I mean, that's the part that where warmth and intimacy to me is just the fabric of being human. And at the same time, then this other bit about how people, like, it's not easy to say these words in certain groups. It's not easy to say these words to each other, sometimes to our deepest, closest loved ones. Like asking for intimacy is one of the hardest things to do. And we've found so many ways around that. And I guess I so want, I'm in a place in my life where I'm really exploring what it means to reduce the bullshit, if I may use the word, around asking for love and intimacy or living love and intimacy and warmth and intimacy. Like for me, that's really important. That I don't want to fabricate the stories that and live those thoughts out so much as I want to know. I want to be in a place of love. And so basically my relationship with being in love with intimacy is changing. And so when we explore this in our workshop with everybody who's, hopefully a lot of people come, for me, I'm just very hopeful. I feel inspired. I feel ready to look at the questions. I feel tender and there's beauty in it. There's this sweetness, just even the idea.
Thank you. I'm appreciating so much in what you said. I've heard, living in a world where children know that love's available to them, and that part went, yes. I'm working with middle school locally right now, and just the faces of kids of 11, 12, 13 already choosing ways to protect themselves from each other because of this lack of trust around, touch or intimacy or just love or even trust of warmth. So when you said that, I was a resounding yes. I would like to live in that world also. And and there's much work to do around it, is my thought.
Yeah.
And then the yeah, that this, I too want to be able to ask in a way that doesn't bring up discomfort. There are times where I want to hug, but then maybe I don't want one at other times with the same person, not because of them, but where I am at that moment. Or, I remember being at a training years ago, and I saw two trainers walking hand in hand. And my first thought was, oh, they must be a couple. That's my thought. Then later found out that no, they had their own partners. And my cultural training was like, what's going on here? And then that was like day 1 or 2, but by the end I was like, I'm holding hands with people, that in my home group, or partners and friends, male and female. And it was very comfortable and natural, and that judgment was erased. And so I'd like to be able to walk around and, yay, the world is holding hands.
Yeah, the world is holding hands. And I also got this really important piece about intimacy, which is about boundaries, and authenticity based boundaries. Like, at this moment, yesterday I wanted to hug you and cuddle you, and at this moment I'm not really up for a hug and cuddle, and for that to be okay, like to be received for where you are. In a sense, this is the difference between strategies and needs. Like, the hug and cuddle is a strategy, but the real longing is perhaps to be received, welcomed, acknowledged, appreciated for what's alive in this moment. This is how it is for me at this moment.
Yes. Yeah. And for us to be accepting of each other's moments.
Yeah. Well, I really want that.
Yeah.